It's me, HEC3, also known as Hampton Edward Conway III, better known as Lil Hamp, and sometimes known as Shorty Coco. And this is the Get Fat Podcast. That's right, Get Fat, F.A.T, Freedom and Transformation. And I am here with a special guest. Last week, if you caught the episode, it was several brothers that were a part of this anthology that I'm a part of and collaborating in called For Such a Time as This. This particular brother wasn't able to make it, but thank God he's here with us today. This is brother, minister, pastor, apostle, bishop, Cedric Nelms.
Yeah. Good to be here, man. Good to be here.
Yes, sir. Glad to have you. Glad you could make it. And I'm excited to start this conversation. And I don't take it for granted that this collaboration with the book has allowed us to cross paths. The other brothers and I were talking about this last week, that it was just a great time, fella. We talked for I don't know how long after the podcast ended. We was rapping, and it was just really great fellowship and just really being connected to other like-minded brothers. So it's, really special. And like I said, I don't take this for granted, brother. And it's good to have met you and have conversation with you, even outside of the book conversation.
Correct.
And I look forward to that continuing. Right.
Me too, man. Me too. Because it's needed in this season.
Absolutely. And it was interesting because when I don't know, I just felt like there would be something special about having the fellas. No shade, no disregard to the women. I think everybody that's contributing to the book got a great story to tell, impactful, inspirational story to tell. But I just felt like I just felt really inspired and motivated to bring the fellas together to have some conversation. So, that's why we're doing this. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to read your bio, and then I'm going to give you a chance to share a little bit about your chapter of the book. Of course, we don't want to give it all away because we want people to buy the book and find out more for themselves. Matter of fact, today, November 9th, is the ebook release on Amazon. I'll put the link to that in the podcast description as well as on the YouTube channel. It'll be in the description, but it's already hit #1 bestseller in several categories today, right?
Yes, it did, sir. At least 6 or 7 that I counted.
So there we go. That's the new graphic with the #1 bestseller seal on it from Amazon. So you can go to Amazon with that link and get the ebook. Okay. Now, we're still encouraging you to get the hard copy. Okay. Please. The hard copy. All right. If you're connected to brother Cedric, how would people get in touch with you to get a copy?
Man, you can reach me on social media. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter, Instagram. They can reach me that way. If you need, if you just want to go old school with it and do the email, just send me an email at Pastor Cedric 41872 @gmail.com. All one word, Pastor Cedric 41872 @gmail.com.
I will provide all of Pastor Cedric's contact information in the podcast description and the YouTube description. So make sure you check the descriptions if you want to connect to this brother. As far as me, myself, y'all know how to get me. HamptonConway.com will get you to everything. But definitely support us, y'all, by buying the actual book. But yeah, the ebook is only $1.99, and so that's a good way to get a fresh read, early read, because the actual books the physical books won't be in until December. And we thank those of you that have already pre-ordered. Thank you so much, and we're gonna make sure we get those to you. But we're still taking orders, and I know I'm still signing those copies, personally signing them for the folks that ordered them. But hey, I want to get to this brother here, so I'm going to read his bio and we're going to talk. So Cedric Nelms was born and raised in Los Angeles, California. He attended Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia. Cedric has been in the ministry for 20 plus years and has been working in different areas of ministry, from youth ministry, men's ministry, teaching, community development, leadership principles, social justice, and civic engagement. He was also the radio host of the Chosen Generation Ministry radio show. an internet program podcast that deals with the intersection of culture, life, and faith. He's the senior pastor of the Chosen Generation Fellowship Church in Long Beach. He is also the author of Get Me Through, The Makeover of My Life. He and his wife have started Helping Hands Community Resource Center, which focuses on health and wellness, education, career development, and basic needs. In addition to that, he is the Los Angeles City Director for World Impact, where he's actively working on being a bridge builder between Los Angeles and the faith-based community. You a busy man.
Yes, sir.
Cedric has been, and we didn't even get to the fam yet. Cedric has been married to Karen for 20 plus years. They have not one, not two, but 5 beautiful children. Erica, Jonathan, and a set of triplets. Lord have mercy. Isaiah, Khalid, and Courtney. Did I get the names right?
You got it right, sir.
Loves to spend time with his family, reading, watching sports, traveling, hanging out with his family, writing, and just having a good time. All right, man. That is beautiful. 5 beautiful children.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's my legacy, man.
Hey, absolutely understand. I got you beat though.
How many you got?
10.
Are you serious?
Yes, sir.
Oh man. 10.
Yes, sir.
What's the breakdown? Boys, girls?
6 girls, 4 boys.
Wow.
My oldest is, oh Lord, what is she now? She's 23. And my youngest just turned 10.
Wow, man.
Yeah,
Y'all got kids, brother.
Got kids, man. So that's a whole nother story, man, because that was with my first wife that had the 10 children. I'm now remarried.
Okay.
So, but yeah, that's a whole nother conversation.
Wow, man. Yeah, my five are my 2 oldest ones are our kids from my wife's previous marriage, and then we had actually had quads. We had 2 boys and 2 girls, but one of my girls, Caitlin, didn't survive. And so that left us with, our 5 kids. But yeah, man, we thought we was doing something until we met you, brother. I gotta tell my wife we probably need to go back in the lab and see if we can't create some additional kids to catch up to you.
Don't blame me for that. Don't blame me for your wife.
Don't blame me for that.
Meet her, she gonna look at me sideways, man. Yeah, I can't go back in the lab. I done shut the factory down, so it's a wrap.
Okay, so it's hey, quiet as it's kept. She told me the same thing. Factory's closed, keys have been turned in, the mortgage has been paid, and we sold the building. So there it is. Done deal.
All right. Oh man. So okay. So let's get into this, man. First, and so I didn't realize this is not your first time as an author.
No, I wrote a book a couple of years ago. I think it was probably about 2016, 2017. Get Me Through the Makeover of My Life. And it was at a time period where I was really struggling because I had left corporate America, went full-time ministry, and was trying to really figure out how do you leave corporate America and the salary I was making and go into ministry, which anybody knows.
Right.
There's a difference in salary with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you had and so I imagine that transition is hard enough if you single or if you're married with no kids.
Correct.
But here you are making a transition as a husband and as a father with I'm sure the weight of I need to make this move. I feel God called me to make this move. But on the flip side, the burden and the weight of am I still gonna be able to provide for the fam? Was that a thing for you?
Correct. I mean, it was one of the things that I was constantly trying to figure out how is God going to position me to be sure to take care of my family, but at the same time, uphold his calling. And so I struggled with that, man, for a long time, for a long time.
How did you?
Because I knew it was going to be an adjustment. Plus, in addition to that, I was pastoring a church.
Okay. Okay. And so, and because one of the things I think about immediately, right, is some of the cliche things that you hear in those situations. That well, I can't even think of them now. But a lot of those things will say, they say, well, if God called you to it, then He's going to provide. He'll see you through it. That's it. Yeah. And you hear all
to it. He'll see you through it.
Right. You hear all of those things, and I'm sure you heard that, and I'm sure that may have come to your mind. But those cliches, when you in it,
those cliches don't play. They don't pay the bills, man.
Right.
Bank of America didn't care anything about my calling. They wanted their house note.
Right. So what? Do you mind? Because I'm interested in this now.
No.
Do you mind going into more of, about that transition and when did you get to the place where you were like, you know what, I'm right where I need to be, despite whatever else is going on with this situation?
No, I think I reached that point when I found myself trying to balance working 50 to 60 hours a week, pastoring a church. And the thing that really got me was our triplets were in junior high school. And I never forget, one day I had picked them up from school, and my daughter said to me, and she got in the car and she was crying. And I said, well, what's going on? She said, well, my friends think I'm a liar. I said, well, why do they think you're a liar? She said, because I talk about my dad all the time, but they don't see my dad. Because I work so many hours, I wasn't going to back to school nights, PTA meetings, teachers, student meetings, stuff like that.
Right.
That crushed me, man. And so I had to figure out, and I prayed about it, that if God, you have this calling on my life, then I need you to show me in a very fifth grade manner that you want me to fulfill this calling. And I took that leap of faith. I left corporate America, started doing ministry, and for, I'd say, probably for about 3 to 4 months, my it was actually funny. 3 or 4 months, man, I was doing Netflix and chill. That's all I did. And so all I did was Netflix and chill. And my wife was asking me, when she would come home, she was like, okay, well, what are you gonna do? What's up with this calling? What is it that God is telling you? Because I know God didn't tell you to do this. And that's when I got connected to the place that I'm working now through a friend of mine who was working there. And it answered my prayers, because it allowed for me to do ministry full time and still take care of my family at the end of the day.
Yeah. That the kids will always get you, won't they?
Man, the kids is what broke me, man, because I knew, and from having kids, that's like trying to catch time in a bottle, because your kids are constantly growing up. And if you miss those critical ages, when they get to the age of like 23 with your oldest, my oldest is 35. I got one that's 30, and then my triplets will be 21 in December. Once they get to a certain age, man, they I'm not going to say they don't need you, but some of those genuine moments are gone, because they're getting older and you've gotten older, and you change from being this hands-on dad to this advisor. So.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, man. I feel you. And so I'll tell you one of the things I struggle with right now. And I'm gonna be honest, because you bring something up for me. Um, I am trying to transition from my current full time, which is working in the school system, to two things. One, a production company I started, and doing some things with that as a business, but also a nonprofit ministry. And I would like to be able to focus on those two things and leave the school system behind. I've been in education over 20 years, and I'll always be connected to education in some form or fashion. But I want to transition and really move into a space that I feel God calling me into, and and I'm sure you probably can relate to this. There's a lot of sacrifices you have to make when you're trying to build something,
Yeah.
right? And so there are times where in the back of my mind I'm like, ugh, I was so tied up this week with X, Y, and Z. I didn't necessarily spend the time with the fam like I wanted to. But
Mm-hmm.
if I don't spend the time doing X, Y, and Z, I can't build it to the point where I can then have the flexibility to be with the family like I want to. Like it's like this
Exactly.
balancing act, man. And it's like, and it's funny. I kind of probably need to express that,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I do try to include them on what I'm doing sometimes and explain, let them see what I'm doing, and some of the kids actually work with me or for me,
Mm-hmm.
and so that helps. But yeah, it is times of guilt, if I'm honest.
Mm-hmm.
There are times
Oh
of
yeah.
guilt.
Oh yeah. I look back on some things. I looked back on some things, and I was just sharing this with my youngest kids a couple of days ago. I said, I just kind of regret some things because I don't think that I spent the time that I should have been spending with them, because I was trying to do so much, and I still do quite a bit. I think now they understand more of somewhat of what I do, but it gets tricky, man, because you're always trying to balance yourself. And at the end of the day, um, I know it's personal. I was talking to somebody earlier today, and they asked me, what does success look like to me? You want to be successful. You want to live out this call that God has on your life. You have talents and skills that you want to have at the highest peak of your performance, and at the same time you want to be able to spend time with your kids and your family and do those things that you want to do. But it's kind of difficult because one feeds into the other. if
Right.
if if we don't have this work and job, then spending time with your wife and kids, it's like, okay, well, I want to spend time with them, but I don't want us eating top ramen either. So it's like,
Right.
let me suck it up and go to this job so at least we can live good while we're spending time with each other as
Right.
well.
Right.
So
Right. Right.
it's
Gotcha.
a struggle, man. It's a
Y'all,
struggle.
y'all can actually go to Fridays or something.
Something, can we at least sit down across the table and I can tell them, order what you want,
Right. Right.
and not have to stress about that.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah. Yeah.
Hey man, it's funny. It's so funny because there are times where like I'll take the kids, and now mind you, taking the kids out to eat is no joke.
No,
Um,
that's a chore.
yeah, man. And when we do it, there's times where I've wanted to say, especially if it's a restaurant I haven't been to, I ain't really know the prices, and you get
Right.
there and you look at the menu like, oh man, I want to be like, all right, $12 max, but I hold it. I hold it in. I be like, we don't do this all the time, so let me let them just. Ooh, man.
Man, that's like one time when my triplets were younger, we all went out for my wife's birthday, and we went to this seafood place over in the city of Long Beach, California. And we were sitting there, and everybody had their menu and uh getting ready to order. And my son, he ordered something extravagant, man, like steak and lobster or something like that. And I just happened to say to him, I said, okay, man. I said, wow, it's a big time order, man. I said, what's the price on that? And he looked, he said, I don't know, Daddy, it doesn't have a price. It just says market value.
Yep.
I said, yeah. how about you order this right here? I said, to give you the same thing, but we gonna get this right here. He said, oh, okay. So he was young enough to make the shift, but I'm sitting there like, brother, when it said market value, man, that means they set the price, man.
Right. They
We
can
got to
do
go with
whatever.
stuff that got priced. Thank you. They tell you whatever. So yeah, man, that's funny. I had a moment like that where I was like, yeah, we can't do that. We can't do that tonight. No.
Right, right, right. All right, man. So get me through the maker of my life, man. That's I'm gonna have to check that out, brother. So let's talk about the current project.
Mhm.
Um, so you already. So let's back up though. The first book you did, was that self-published, or how did you?
That was self-published. Wrote it. Talked to a friend who hooked me up with an editor that wound up reading it and marking it up and sending it back and making changes. Learn how to self-publish it myself, and got to be honest with you, Hamp, I didn't write it. I didn't write it with being a bestseller in mind. My first book. I just wrote it because those were my thoughts and that's what I was dealing with. And
Yeah.
I was looking down the line, like maybe one day my grandkids or great grandkids will pick it up and say, hey, my grandfather, great grandfather wrote a book, and read it and get something out of it that will help them. But it just kind of dealt with where I was, man, in life and dealing with life cycles of disruption, rebuilding, and releasing, and how we're caught in one of those cycles. Either life is being disrupted, pandemic, divorce, job loss, losing your house, rebuilding, figuring out how to come back after you've lost a job, figuring out how to come back after a divorce or the passing of a spouse, figuring out how to downsize and get back on your feet after you lose a house. That's the rebuilding piece, and then getting released, understanding that was all for your next. So how the Lord kind of uses that to release you into this next season. So that's how the book is structured in those three different areas. Yeah.
Okay, now I'm definitely hooked. Disruption, rebuilding,
Disruption, rebuilding, and
and
releasing.
recycling, and releasing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I
Yeah.
like that. I like that. That's
Yeah.
is a word and a half right there. Okay. It's funny. It's funny because as you were talking about each cycle, like I'm envisioning different points of my life that fit
Right.
into those. So yeah.
Right. Right.
Uh,
So it's a book that, it's a book your 23-year-old can read. It's a book that my 83-year-old father can read, because we all, as long as we live in, we're going to be battling in one of those cycles. So it just helps in a practical way, helps us it doesn't really give answers, but it does start a conversation. So,
Got you. Got you. Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So the current project, this anthology for such a time as this, shout out to our coach, Pastor Paulette, uh,
Yeah.
who a friend put me on to. It just encouraged me to connect with her and be a part of it. And so, so we appreciate her vision for the
Yes.
project and her support. What is the title of your chapter in this project?
Tyler, my chapter in this project is living in duality. So it deals with duality, deals with how we are, in a practical sense, how I have to be a pastor and a parent. How I have to be a servant and a husband. It's like we always, and like you said it earlier. You're trying to figure out, okay, how do we spend time? How do we spend time with our family, but at the same time be an entrepreneur? So that means that as an entrepreneur, we have no quit time. So we don't clock in, we don't clock out. We just go from day to day. So, living in that duality, and pretty much it shared a story of something that my wife and I went through, to where I really had to, going back to those cliches, I had to practice what I've been preaching all these years, and go through that with her. So yeah.
What would you say? So, what the concept of living in duality is, living in duality, do you look at it as a negative thing? Do you look at it as just a part of life that you just have to learn to navigate? What would you say about that?
I mean, there is definitely a tension. There's a tension in living in that duality. You know, I think that and it's interesting that we're talking about this right now because I was looking at the news, and here in California, there was this big question the last couple of days about where our governor is, because our governor was absent from being on TV. He wasn't absent from his position. He just wasn't on TV. And it comes out that he was spending time with his family,
Hmm.
dealing in the same situations that you and I have talked about. He and his wife both were going to be gone for Halloween, and he has young children. And his kids felt some way about that, same way my daughter felt about me not being present at school. And he decided to cancel some events so that he could be a dad. And so there's tension in that because you will always have people that are questioning your motives, but they never really understand what it is that you're dealing with by making that decision. Um, so yeah, I think at some parts it can be enjoyable, especially if you like the thrill of it all, but it can be tiring, man, because you just never. I think there's a level of surrendering in duality that I don't know about you. I don't do that well because I'm a control freak. So
Yeah, I guess what I was, and it's, I guess I want to get at is, have you found how to maintain a certain level of peace and contentment within that duality?
yeah, I have. And I shared that in my chapter. And one of the things I'll share is understanding that it's a process, and understanding that you will, because it's a process, there is an end to it, but you got to go through it to get to your end. So, there, you won't always have moments of being in that duality. I won't always um have kids that are in their teen years or younger. Pretty soon my kids are going to grow up. So some of that pressure of living in that duality, that pressure of being a parent will decrease, but then there's going to be something else that maybe increases because I'm not a parent at that level. So yeah, I think understanding that there's a purpose. And in my chapter, I share what I call the 5 Ps. So when you read that, for those of you who get the book, and you need to get the book today, you can read that section. As far as one of those P's is the process. We got to go through the process and understand that it's not going to be like this always.
For sure, for sure. All right, man. So I'm excited. I was actually going to plan on getting the ebook here myself, just because I want to get into these stories. Because
Right.
I've gotten to meet some of the folks, obviously, from that we collaborated with, and heard
Hmm.
bits and pieces. It's like I want to know the rest of the story. You know
Right.
what I mean? So,
Right.
I definitely, I'll probably grab the ebook myself, and getting a start. But I'm excited about the actual, full fledged book coming out.
Correct.
Um, so you're doing a lot of work in the LA area. What is something that right now you are just really excited and passionate about? What area of work are you doing that you're just really excited and passionate about right now?
I would say I'm doing a lot of, which is very interesting, Hamp. I'm doing a lot of work in justice and advocacy.
Hmm.
Um, I'm being pulled into an area where I've been working with a group of parents and community organizers and an organization where we have been working for the last 2 years on Black student achievement and dealing with that and coming up with a playbook and a validated plan around how we can help these 50,000 Black students in our local district to get to that next level academically, where their numbers were low. So, doing that kind of work, I just got pulled into some more similar kind of work over in the city of Long Beach. One of the things that we're finding out, I'm not sure if you have this, in the city where you are, but we have police on campus who are carrying weapons,
Mhm.
and that hasn't ended well out here in some of our cities and some of our schools. So we want to remove those folks from campus and take some resources to bring in more mental health specialists, bring in more counselors, bring in more community engagers, who may be pastors or folks who have a different mindset to really be there for the young people. So that's some stuff that I'm doing, man, that I'm really excited about. In addition to our resource center that we started June of last year, I'm doing a lot of work with the board, doing a lot of development around a program that we're going to roll out for high school and transitional age youth, those youth that are aging out of uh, um, children's services and foster care. So
Yeah,
those
yeah.
are some things, man, that I'm really, really excited about right now, man.
Man, that is it's amazing to hear you talk about all these things because you're hitting on a lot of things that I'm also either interested in or passionate about or have worked in. And going back to what you're talking about with the local school district and you mentioned black boys in particular.
Mm-hmm.
So I just this past year was on the task force for the state of Maryland, task force for achieving academic equity and excellence for black boys. And so I'm going to share some stuff with you that came out of that, the
Good.
recommendations that was put forth in the state of Maryland to the different districts in the state of Maryland to address that. And if you have things, that you all are compiling and putting together,
Yeah.
so we can definitely.
Yeah, we need to transfer, man. We need to transfer some information, man, because that's you all in my wheelhouse, man, right now. So yeah, yeah,
That's what's up. I told you it wasn't no
yeah,
accident, brother. I told you.
yeah, brother. You told me that too, man. Man, yeah, just really trying to be there for this next generation, man. I think you and I both, from our upbringing, we had some hard knocks. We ran into some situations, but if it wasn't our father, it was an uncle. If it wasn't an uncle, it was a grandfather. It was a coach. It was a teacher. Somebody was able to get with us and get us to that next level. And I think that's needed now more than ever more. So
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely, man. I grew up with a community of black. I'm fortunate to say that I had several black male role models growing up.
right,
Several.
right,
And cats that always just encouraged me, poured into me, man. You know, and that was a huge. That was huge.
right, right. Yeah,
I can't. You can't put a price on that, man. The value of having that, and some of these brothers still in my life today. They're older. Some have gone on, but some are still around. And every time they see me, they're encouraging me, man, and whatnot. So yeah, it's a beautiful thing, brother. And yes, I think for such a time as this,
mm-hmm.
you know,
Right. For such a time as this.
and we need brothers like you, uh, like George, like Derek, like
Right,
James. You know what I mean?
right.
To all step up and do our part. And they are. All them cats. Everybody's doing their part in their own way, and trying to build community and ultimately um, point people to the Savior, man.
Exactly.
I think that's a common goal for all of us. That's what really is making the difference. When I
Right.
listen to all of everybody's story, there's that common thread of God's power
Mm-hmm.
and His strength, even
Mm-hmm.
when we were struggling and weak and worn. Like there's a common thread of that and everybody's story. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
man. Hey, man, I appreciate you. Um, I like that shirt you got on, brother.
Yeah, brother. I got the hookup, man. From matter of fact, man, I got it from brother Hampton, man, who sent me this shirt. I'm a believer coming out of Romans 10 and 9, man. So
Come
this
on
is a
now.
dope shirt, man. Dope
Yes,
shirt
sir.
right
Yes,
here,
sir.
man.
That's what's up. And then I'm over here with the chosen. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. These shirts are from a company called J Expressions, and it's a black-owned company. And from what I read, it started up during the pandemic. A father and a daughter, trying to, you know, find what to do with their time during the pandemic. They messed around and started a
Wow.
clothing line. And
Wow.
so faith based, they got a lot of different inspirational hats, shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, all that kind of thing. And so if you go to J Expressions, and it's the letter J Expressions.com, expressions without the E at the beginning, just JX expressions.com, you can get 10% off if you use the coupon code Hampton Conway, no space, all caps. I'll put a link that you can use as well in the description to get your discount. But I mean, they got some really cool stuff. Very comfortable. I like the fabric, I like the quality, and I like what it has to say,
Yeah.
and I like what they're about. So that's J
Yeah.
Expressions. So yeah, but hey, Cedric, great having you. I'm looking forward to, again, like I said before, man. I'm looking forward to continuing the fellowship with you, and getting to know
Definitely.
you better. I know we're gonna
Definitely.
stay connected and share outside of this book situation.
Right.
Could you? I would like to leave my listeners with just a brief word from you. What I want you. This thing got to have nothing to do with the book. Well, that's something that's been on your heart. Maybe something been on your mind from your devotionals. What something that's resonating with you right now? Can you just drop a word? It could be one word. It could be a phrase. It could be a paragraph. Whatever. Just drop it on us right now, man. And that's how we gonna close out.
All right. I'll go with a phrase my mother speaks over my life all the time: to whom much is given, much is required. Um, we have to understand that we've been given much, which is going to require something of us. We just can't walk through this life and not be responsible for the gifts and the talents that the Lord has given us. We have to use those not for self. We have to use that to push and empower those people that cross our path. And so she always tells me when I struggle with the whys, why I got to go through this, why I got to be bothered with this, she always tells me, to whom much is given, much is required.
My brother, I appreciate that, and that is very true. And the crazy thing is, you actually just segued into my next podcast episode because I wanted to
Wow.
focus on Second Timothy, where Paul was trying to encourage Timothy and tell Timothy to stir up the gift that is in him, right? And the idea
Wow.
that he's got to nurture. We've all got gifts and talents, right? We've all got
Mm-hmm.
gifts and talents, but we have the responsibility of nurturing our gifts and our talents. And not only that, but then using our gift and talents to help other people do the same. So you were segueing right
Right.
into my next episode, brother.
And we didn't even rehearse this,
We
y'all.
ain't
We didn't even
rehearsed
rehearse this. That's off the dome right there. Come
off
on
the
now.
dome. I appreciate you, man. Hey,
Appreciate you, Phil.
that's what's up. That's what's up. So hey, again, it's me, HEC3, and I'm just trying, give you a little something to chew on so you can get fat. So come on and get fat with me on the Get Fat podcast. Cedric, thank you. We out of here.